I want to talk about Cliff Booth. Now, for those of you who have not seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's latest directorial effort, I recommend stopping this video and coming back once you have, because the character at hand, the one played by Brad Pitt in the film, is the subject of today's video, among other kind of tidbits from the movie that some might consider to be spoilerish. So yes, if you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, rush out, go see it, and then come back when you're done. And so you'll understand, A, what the hell I'm talking about, and B, you'll understand perhaps why I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Now, I had covered a little bit of this in the roundtable discussion that I had with David Fowley and E-Man and Don Shanahan on the podcast, I think it was last week, which you can watch as one of the YouTube videos on this channel or as at the Kicking the Seat podcast, kickseat.com, shameless plug. The idea that one of the consequences, and again, this is spoiler territory, so this is your last chance. I'm trusting you on this. One of the consequences of Tarantino rewriting history, as he did at the end of this film, in which the quote-unquote Manson family did not kill Sharon Tate and the house guests at the end of the movie in 1969, I said this somewhat jokingly, was that it let Roman Polanski off the hook for what would become a future crime. Well, ostensibly. We're supposed to believe that because Sharon and her friends all survived and lived happily ever after, that may affect the relationships that they had with each other and ostensibly other people going forward, and one of those would have to be Roman Polanski, who was married to Tate at the time. Now, in 1977, which is about 8 years after the movie takes place, famously Roman Polanski was convicted of rape of a 13-year-old girl, and he subsequently fled the country and has been living in France for the last 40 years or whatever it is. So you kind of have to wonder, was Tarantino thinking of this when he put the movie together? I don't know, because Sharon Tate certainly gets a happy ending. As far as Polanski, that is unclear, because not to say that he had engaged in this type of behavior previously, or would have even been at that same party where that event happened later, had this other event not happened earlier in his life, but it does raise questions. So that brought me to thinking about Cliff Booth, who's the Brad Pitt character in the movie. He plays the stunt double to Rick Dalton, who is a Leonardo DiCaprio character. They're best friends. They're cruising around Hollywood, kind of at the end of Rick Dalton's movie and TV career, and thus, by association, Cliff's career as his right-hand man. He's sort of been reduced to being a driver. Early on in the movie, it is revealed kind of offhandedly that Cliff, people are creeped out by him. He's a handsome, charming, very talented man, but he also may have killed his wife. And we see in a flashback sequence a bit of that, the scene leading up to that, or at least what many people believe was the incident that led up to him killing his wife. And it was very reminiscent of the Natalie Wood death, the mysterious circumstances under which she had died on, I believe it was Robert Wagner's boat. I don't have all the information. I'm not fully versed in that, although I did hear some weird story about Christopher Walken also being on that boat at the time. I don't know if that's true or not. I should probably look that up. Maybe I'll make another video about how I finally read it and now I know what I'm talking about. So, I don't know. Anyway, there was a very Natalie Wood kind of vibe to that scene, and it was sort of not played for laughs, but played for the kind of shock laugh, I think, of, oh my God, we're gonna go and actually see this murder happen. We don't. It's kind of left up in the air, much like the rumors surrounding the Cliff Booth character. But it got me to thinking, is this someone who murdered his wife? Or did she die mysteriously and he had nothing to do with it, and he's just kind of been walking around with that in his head and on his shoulders, as it were? Nothing seems to bother this guy. He's a very cool customer, except when he's called upon to protect his friend, Rick. And at the end of the film, again, we are way deep into spoiler territory, but later in the film, when the Manson family gang comes a-knockin', because Cliff and Rick, well, Rick shares a house right up the same drive as Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski. Polanski was out of the town at the time of the would-be murders. the gang comes a-knockin', and they have sort of a vendetta against Rick and by extension Cliff, based on a run-in that they had had with Rick earlier in the evening, and also an encounter they had had with Cliff out at the Spawn Ranch earlier in the film. So there's a real dangerous situation. Cliff Booth is in a house with Rick Dalton's wife and his own dog, and these people come in brandishing knives and talking about how they're going to kill them, and Cliff very quickly turns the tables on these guys, sicks the dog on them, and relentlessly proceeds to murder these intruders. And it's a moment of catharsis. I think I said on the podcast that in the theater there was uproarious applause and cheers, and I was right there clapping along with them. It was so over the top that in true Tarantino fashion, you almost can't believe what you're seeing, at least the first time you watch it. Same with Inglorious Bastards, when Adolf Hitler gets mowed down in the theater. Again, spoiler alert for a 10-year-old movie. But it got me to thinking later on that Cliff Booth seemed very comfortable in bashing this intruder, this one girl's head, repeatedly into a wall. It becomes cartoonishly graphic, and she's beaten literally to a pulp, and he has no qualms about it. Now, I kind of got to wondering, does this mean that Cliff Booth is some kind of a secret serial killer? Going back to that Spawn Ranch thing, he goes out into the desert, with this hitchhiker that he picks up, and he goes to see his old friend George, who runs the ranch, who he becomes suspicious may have been kidnapped or killed by these crazy hippies hanging out on his property. He walks in without a care in the world, and we as the audience are wondering, is he in danger? I mean, based on what we know of that troop, he is in danger, but he doesn't seem to know it. And you get the feeling that even if he did know it, he wouldn't care, because he could very much handle himself. We come to find out later how well he could handle himself in theory in that situation, even though it was probably 20-1 at that point. But yeah, I kind of got to thinking maybe this is a much darker character than anyone had suspected. You start thinking about Ted Bundy, who is a killer from a different era by a few years, but it was suspected that he had murdered people long before he got caught. Perhaps bodies that we don't know about and all that stuff. But he was a charming guy, an attractive guy. I think Zac Efron played him in a Netflix movie or something earlier this year. But it's not an angle that we see a lot. Usually if we're watching a movie about a serial killer like American Psycho, the audience is on board with the fact that this person is, charming and suave, but also committing these horrible acts in private, a lot of which never come out until they're caught. And sometimes even after they're caught, they don't catch, everything that they did. But in the case of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I don't think Tarantino has alluded to this in any interviews, it's just my speculation, my commentary as a viewer. And I might pick up more information on a second viewing, who knows? And who knows, a second viewing might really reveal that I'm completely full of it. And I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments if you think I am. But what if this was a movie about many things, including a sort of golden age of Hollywood, a transitional period of Hollywood from the 50s to the 60s and into the 70s, a movie about the redemption of Sharon Tate's character and life, and those who lost their lives at the hands of the Manson family, but also about a killer who did get away. Charles Manson, who knows, maybe he got freaked out by the fact that his little gang that he sent up to that estate were horribly butchered, and he went and crawled under a rock and never did anything related to that. Maybe he never got caught. Maybe he gave up his ways and found Jesus or something. But for sure, there was, and we already talked about Roman Polanski, but for sure there is someone who committed at least 2 murders in the movie. I'm sorry, no, make that 5, I think. 4 if you count Leo taking out the last one with a flamethrower. I don't even know if my math's right, so sorry, it's kind of late. But you've got this guy who is ostensibly not going to jail or being punished for any of his crimes. He's walking around, he's hanging out with movie stars. He's going to go on sets. He's pretty well taken care of. He's got a best friend who ostensibly does not know about the things that he's done, and if he did, he didn't really care. So it's the perfect cover. So who knows what other skeletons Cliff Booth might have in his closet out in that trailer out by the oil derricks across from the drive-in theater. I don't know, it's just something that I was thinking about. I don't know if this was on anyone else's mind except mine, and if it's not, maybe I've got problems, skeletons in my closet. I assure you I've never killed anyone. That is a promise, it is an oath. I've never done that. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thought I'd make a quick video about it, which has turned out to be not so quick. It's a little bit rambly, and I apologize. I'm still new to this whole YouTube thing, so please forgive me. Please comment on this. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. Did what I say make any sense? Do you have more evidence to suggest that Cliff Booth is the one who got away, the real, not even a villain of the piece? I mean, I guess if he's a serial killer, he's a villain, but he's so damn charming. And I stand by my contention that the Rick Dalton, Cliff Booth twin costume is going to be huge this Halloween, because these are iconic characters now. It's a brand new movie, I understand, but I feel like these are mythical characters that we just saw being birthed on screen. That sounded really disgusting. Anyway, I'm gonna go now. Please subscribe to the channel, the Kicking the Seat YouTube channel, which you're watching right now. Please like the video if you like the content. If you didn't like the content, I can take a thumbs down, but please, if you're gonna do that, at least leave a comment and let me know why. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, and go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. See it several times before it leaves theaters, because whether you love the movie or just like the movie or even kind of think you might hate the movie, it is something to see on the big screen. This is not something to watch, on home video or on your phone. It is truly a big screen experience. Quentin Tarantino was one of our last great filmmakers who really, I think, loves the medium and loves actual tangible film. So yeah, that's reason enough to keep him going up until and probably hopefully past movie number 10. So thank you, and take care.